Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to our Facebook Live discussion today. And today's discussion is going to be about what to wear for a virtual interview. I am so happy today to have Erica Morgan, who I've known since college years, with me today. She is the Director of Programs for Dress for Success Columbus. So thank you so much, Erica, for being with me today.
You're welcome. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and have this conversation with you.
Yes, absolutely. So let's start off for those who may not be really familiar with Dress for Success Columbus. If you could talk a little bit about the organization and what you guys are currently doing in our community.
Absolutely. So Dress for Success Columbus is a workforce development agency that empowers women to achieve economic independence by providing a network of support, professional attire, the career development tools to help them thrive and work in life. They're all about empowerment, confidence, and sisterhood.
Awesome. And I really enjoy just watching the things that you guys do for at Dress for Success, especially for the community. You guys have done a lot too in our job center with helping our clients also get prepared for interviews as well. So I'm really excited that you are here today to kind of talk about some different tips to help job seekers as they do prepare for a future job interview, but now being virtual, being in a virtual space now, how do they prepare for that? So what are some things that someone should keep in mind before the day of their interview? Like what are some tips that they should use in order to prepare?
One of the things that I tell everyone is you want to treat a virtual interview like it is an in-person interview. So you will the same way. You will research the company. You want to know as much about the company as possible going in and the position going into the interview. You want to practice, especially now when it being virtual. You want to practice, which you can practice by standing in the mirror, just going over some typical questions that you've had in the past of an interview. And if you've never had an interview before, Google some interview questions and kind of practice what your responses will be. And then you could also have someone do a mock interview with you. One of the cool things about Dress for Success is we have Interviewing for Success program where we connect women to HR experts to help them prepare for an interview. So it's a really awesome program if you've never interviewed before, or if you're someone like me, I was in the same position or career, the same company for over 9 years, and I recently came to Grace and I hadn't interviewed for a while. I did the interviewing, but I had not been the person on the other side of the desk. So Interviewing for Success would be a great tool for that person. And then if you just had a family member that could sit down with you and do a mock interview, that would be great. But if you don't have either one of those, stand in front of the mirror and practice. And then another thing is I encourage you to plan your outfit out in advance.
Yeah.
It is, I don't know about you, but trying to get ready the day of, trying to figure out what I'm going to wear is too much. So you want to kind of eliminate barriers and stress the day of your interview. And then you also want to prepare your family, talk to your kids, find childcare for that. Again, treating it like you have an in-person interview. Let your family know that I'm going to be isolated in this room for at least an hour. So please, don't come knocking on the door. Leave me alone. I need to be isolated. And then lastly, write out your questions for the interviewer, rather. You want to ask questions. It is always a great thing to have those questions written out in advance.
Yes, those are all great tips, Erica, and thank you so much for sharing those. A lot of times with us working at home and being in the virtual space, sometimes we can't control what is around us, our surroundings sometimes. And even though we may go to a quieter room in our homes, to do our interview, sometimes there still may be something that happens or a disruption that happens in the house. So with that, how if, especially moms, women who have smaller children at home and, are still trying to apply for jobs and, be able to go through those interviews. What is a good tip for a woman if they do have a situation where their child comes in the room while they're interviewing? Like, how do you handle something like that?
So that's funny because had this conversation with a lot of people, and being as though we're in the middle of a pandemic, all of us are operating in times that are outside of our norm, right? So we are all trying to adjust, and many of us are working from home. So though we know that those distractions are real. So one of the things that I find it to be important is just to say, excuse me, I apologize. Take care of that, get right back to the interview. And the person that's conducting the interview will understand, because life happens, disruptions happen. You don't have to get out of the camera. Someone shared with me that their child ran into the room in the middle of a meeting and was like, I need this fixed right now. She just kept talking, fixed what it was for a child, and their child went on happy. So sometimes that happens, and if you were interviewing with me, I understand. I won't say for everyone, but generally everyone understands that life happens, and we keep. But I do encourage lock the door. Right. If you can lock the door, lock the door. But again, just you don't have to give a big explanation about it. Just say, I apologize, excuse me, take care of it, and dive right back into the interview.
Yes, absolutely. And now what about backgrounds? So, some people may, want to not, display what's behind them, or maybe not feel it's appropriate, whatever space that they're in. Do you encourage people when they're going through a virtual interview to use kind of a, digital background or some type of virtual background in their interview?
I do not. I do not encourage a virtual background. One, the interview is about you, say, so you don't want to give the interviewer a reason to be distracted and take away from what you're saying in the interview. And a lot of times, those virtual backgrounds, though we're mindful of our posture and we're paying attention, when you start moving with those virtual backgrounds, they kind of go away, come back, start splashing. So you want to make sure that you're the focus of the interview. What you are saying, the skills that you provide or are going to bring to the table, that's the focus and not the background.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. So that's a great segue to now talking about, the attire and what you should wear in your interview, right? So
I love that part.
Yes. Getting ready for that day. And so the day comes, you are about to sit down in front of your, computer, and you're about to interview. What are some maybe helpful tips for someone as they are getting their outfit or attire ready? Are there any colors or patterns that someone maybe should steer from, when they are preparing for a virtual interview?
Well, gray, black, and blue are always some awesome colors and appropriate for interviewing. With virtual, if your background is white like mine, you want to avoid wearing white, because then you'll be whitewashed into the wall, and that will again take away from you, and you don't want to do that. So that gray, the black, blue, nice blue pinstripe suits. I just want to plug that for whatever reason. Those things always stand out and make you look really professional. Colors to avoid, patterns to avoid, florals, bright, busy patterns. Jewelry, you really want to be mindful of the jewelry that you wear. You want to wear moderate, elegant jewelry, not noisy, loud jewelry. A lot of times we want to wear bangles and earrings. When you move, they jingle. And again, that's a distraction. That's something that's taken away from you. And then I'm focused on your earrings are jingling every time you say the word no or whatever. You hit to the left, it jingles, it shakes a little bit. So you want to try to avoid that. And again, be mindful that though we are virtual, you are still in an interview, so treat it like it's in person. I can't stress that enough.
Yes, absolutely. So I know I'm a jewelry person, so I know sometimes depending on the outfit, I have to steer away from some jewelry some pieces that I wear. So that's all good, good suggestions.
Me too. Today I wanted to wear this big necklace, and I was like, that's a distraction. I'm just not going to do it.
Right. Absolutely. So what about facial expressions and posture, with being on a virtual interview? What are some, things that you recommend to your clients when preparing for a virtual interview?
Facial expression, eye contact, being mindful of your body language is so important. I was sharing that I was in a meeting, an interview, and if you have multiple screens with the camera is to the left. So the camera was facing her side profile the whole time we were talking. So you want to be mindful that you're looking in the camera, and I'm really trying to focus on that now instead of look at you. Because when I'm looking at you versus looking at the camera, you're kind of looking down, and you can come off as though you're distracted and you're not focused. So you really want to be in tune to the person on the other side of the camera and really focus on the camera. I know it's difficult because you want to look, you're always going to make eye contact, but you want to stay looking at that camera so that it's focused on you, because I can easily look at you and then I'm distracted. So that, and smile and be engaging and, leaning in, like just like you would if you were in person. And be mindful that the camera is there, but it's still, a one-on-one conversation, or sometimes it could be a group, but focus on that camera.
Yes. I think sometimes we always tend to forget too in a virtual space, like where the camera is and the angles.
Right.
More than ever, it's so important now.
Right.
Where you're looking at.
When it's a group and everyone starts talking, you start looking around trying to find them. Focus on the camera.
Right.
Focus on the camera. Find the camera. Focus on the camera.
Find the camera and focus on the camera. That is a good tip to remember. And hopefully everybody remembers that. Before we get into the last couple of our questions, just for our audience, if you have any questions for Erica, please put them in our chat. We will answer them live if you have any. If you have a virtual interview that is coming up, Dress for Success Columbus is a great resource for you. And I know Erica will be talking a little more about what Dress for Success will be doing, especially next month in March during Women's History Month. But any last tips, Erica, for someone who is preparing for a virtual interview? Anything that they should keep in mind that maybe we haven't discussed today as they get ready for their next opportunity?
I would say be yourself. And again, if you walk away with anything or only one thing, just remember that a virtual interview is just like an in-person interview. And they are so important. They're the times that we're living in now and probably the future for a while. And so be yourself, practice, sign up for Interviewing for Success and Dress for Success Columbus website. And then going into the interview, or if you have a follow-up interview, really go over the answers, the responses to those questions that you wrote out. So that's why it's important to write your questions out. And if you have questions that you're prepared or you really want to know the answers to, so then you go over those questions, the responses to those questions, and then you can also dig a little deeper into the company, so that when you come back for that second interview, you really stand out, have a more in-depth conversation with the interviewer. So those are the things that I would really suggest is practice, review those questions, and be yourself and enjoy it. Ask as many questions as possible and prepare.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for all those great tips, Erica. Those are very helpful, and hopefully our viewers will have learned a little bit more on some helpful fashion tips, as well as some great additional tips too, as they prepare for their next opportunity and their virtual interview. So like I was mentioning, Dress for Success Columbus has some great things that are happening next month in March during Women's History Month. And so can you talk a little bit about your upcoming event that you guys are hosting?
Absolutely. So on March 6th, we are so excited for March to be going into Women's History Month, but we are so excited to have our 2021 Success Insight Conference. It is virtual and it is free. And we have some really, really awesome powerhouses on the roster for that day, some of which you may be aware of, like our keynote is Dr. Mashika Roberts, and then we have some really awesome moderators and panelists. So I would love for you to join us. Again, it's free. The first 100 women to register will receive a swag bag. So we are kind of getting close to 600 the last time I checked, but don't let that discourage you from registering. You'll receive a lot of information. It's a day of workforce development, talking about health and wellness, and it's just a really awesome opportunity to be involved. And then throughout the month, there will be some really cool things as well. So once you register, we can save your contact information and continue to provide you with all the upcoming events that we have, not just in March, but throughout the year.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm looking forward to that event too that's coming up. So I need to register myself. So
yes, please do.
Yes. And also, I just wanted to mention too, I know when you and I spoke, you had mentioned there was some great resources for even professional women, and I wanted you to share a little bit about that information too for women who are, currently, may not be looking for a new opportunity, but may want to get involved with Dress for Success. What are some opportunities for women who are in their professional fields?
Well, we have a professional women's group that meets on a regular basis, so that's a great way to get involved. We have, again, we have the boutique experience. So we have a career center. We have a 6-month program that runs from May to November, and that is called Women to Women, and that's a mentoring group. So if you've been in your profession for a long time and would like to be a mentor to a young woman coming up, that's an awesome way to give back. And if you've been in your career, you've been at your job for a long time, you're working, but you're like, oh, I need some new work clothes. I've been at home for the past year. I lost a little weight, and now you are in need of some clothes. You can certainly reach out because we have employment styling. So we have our interview styling that those referrals come through community partners and referring agencies, but then we also have our employment styling where if you're working and you're in a space where you just need some new clothes for work, we can certainly do that as well. So we have a lot of opportunities, and one of the things that I love about Dress for Success is that it's for every woman, right? It's for every woman. I know that coming into my role, people were like, "Oh, you dress so cute. You're going to be perfect for that role." And a lot of people feel like or thought that Dress was only styling, but we are much more than styling. We are a workforce development company or agency that also styles. We have so many programs and opportunities. We have a mobile career unit. I don't know if any of you have seen it last year. Times, but we definitely have a mobile career center. So we are out in community partners, styling women on site and providing some workforce development trainings on site. And again, we have some come into the facility and use the computer, look for a job. We have that. We have a professional one for this. Right. So we have a lot of opportunities. We even have Boss Girl that is for high schoolers. So we are here for everyone. It's no income requirement or income cap, and all of our services are free.
Perfect. So for more information about Dress for Success Columbus, and visit their website at columbus.dressforsuccess.org to get more information and to learn about their programs and services that they offer. So Erica, I would like to again thank you so much for doing this Facebook Live discussion with me on how to prepare for a virtual interview. Again, those were some great helpful tips with how to dress and also just how to prepare and what to do if you have a distraction that happens during your interview. So hopefully all of our viewers have taken down some great notes and been able to get some more information from you as well. And I just encourage all of our viewers to please follow Dress for Success Columbus on all your social media platforms. And as well, again, if you would like to learn more about their services and programs, visit them at columbus.dressforsuccess.org. And then also, I just want to remind all of our viewers too that currently right now, our core virtual hiring event is happening from today until Saturday. You can still have time to register if you go to our website at omjcfc.org. Please register for the core virtual hiring event and take these tips that you received today during this Facebook Live into your next opportunity. So we just thank everyone again for joining us today, and we hope you have a great Thursday afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.